Welcome everybody to Season 2, Episode 6 of the weekly quantum world Detangled. Today with my friends Denise, joining us from a new company but the same location.
Hi everyone, Denise Ruffner, now Vice President of Business Development for IonQ, joining you from Pasadena, California. And Tommaso?
Hello everyone, good morning. Tommaso from Entropica Labs, calling you from Singapore. And congratulations Denise for the new position, fantastic.
My name is André König, I'm the CEO of Interference Advisors. We're glad to have Denise and IonQ still with us, Tommaso of course, and we have Professor Latorre, who online goes by Jill. That's going to be my first question, but welcome, please introduce yourself.
Hi to everybody, nice being with you. I'm now at Singapore and I'm now the director of the Center for Quantum Technologies in Singapore. And I'm also heading the effort for building a quantum computer in Abu Dhabi in the Emirates.
Very interesting. And you and I, we've never met before. We don't know much about each other unless you Googled me, which I doubt. When Googling you've done a lot of different things in your life. And I was trying to put my finger on what the core essence of it is. You know, imagine it's not COVID, we go to a cocktail party and somebody that you meet asks you, what do you do in life? What is that kind of 30-second answer?
Well, I try to navigate life with happiness, which is not trivial. But I've devoted my life to three main things. One is obviously research, finding new things, discovering, curiosity-driven knowledge. A second has been to do outreach. I do a lot of stuff. I made a documentary on the atomic bomb, on the last living scientist from there. And I'm also very happy to work with business people. I think that the third leg of my work is to translate my knowledge to the good of society in terms of business, essentially. So in general, I have a good time at parties. And I love philosophy, and I love art, and I love music, and I paint everything.
So where do you get most happiness from?
To be with intelligent people. You know, with time, I've discovered that the relevant thing is to be surrounded by good talent and, let it go. Let talk about the good, the bad, whatever. I do believe that following the roadmap which is given by experts is not very often the right way to proceed. Okay, I've discovered that taking my own decisions in life has been very useful. And in particular, I've done a long piece of my career in Spain. I've been in 6 countries, but let me say that a big part was in Spain. And there are definitely the advice you get from the, let's say, wise people is not very wise. So I believe in this spirit that Tommaso has of the startups and, take your future in your hands and go ahead. Dive into the future. No, don't program the future.
Excellent. I'm probably making you unhappy right now, so I'll pass you off to somebody more intelligent. Denise, take it away.
I just introduced myself as the least intelligent person on this call. So
again,
for the first question
it's
I
not
have
true. It's Denise. No,
we don't believe you. We don't believe you.
Okay. Well, what's your favorite rock and roll band? You said you like music.
Well,
do you like rock and roll or?
I do rock and roll, definitely, obviously, the classics, and but I'm very eclectic. So I'm a lover of, as every scientist, of Bach and Beethoven, but I like contemporary music. I'm a strict follower of Max Richter, if you know him, the Four Seasons.
I love the Four Seasons.
Four Seasons is absolutely
fantastic.
amazing.
It's
Voices, infra voices, the recent work by him. I love Philip Glass. I even had a lunch with him, a collective lunch, but I met him. And well, in general, I like all sorts of music, all sorts. Actually, I've done a couple of documentaries, and I was following very closely how music is defined, how emotions have to be translated into music, and the music has to come with the images.
Okay, cool. Well, I just had to ask. What I was actually interested in when I read up on you was that you've been involved in 3 different startups, is what your biography said.
Yes.
I was wondering if you would tell me about those.
Well, I'm one of those guys that the first didn't work. It was a good idea. I was doing analytics, but suddenly Google did the analytics. So it never went wrong. It simply Google took over everything. It was in the early. Think that in particle physics, I was trained in high energy physics. We used the email well before anybody. I wrote my first email in '86. I was at CERN when www was created at CERN. So I was using it on the line command. Okay, and so I was very well informed of what was going on, and I thought that checking the traffic of internet would be relevant. But then Google came. And then I had a second idea that that was a startup that I didn't get the money to go beyond, which was about synchronizing your smartphones. I wanted the stadiums of Barca to shout Messi, all of them together by synchronizing your smartphone with universal time. Okay. At the time where the latency of the smartphones was very bad, okay, and it worked. But I did a couple of demos, but it was not. I didn't engage people to pay for the big things, for the collecting every smartphone on the planet and shouting simultaneously or flashing. But the third is working. So I had a startup called Kilimanjaro that is building a quantum computer in Barcelona and serving as a first step to Abu Dhabi. And it is indeed the contract. We didn't need investors, so it is based on contracts. And indeed, we are in the first year, but quite advanced, and the flow of work is okay, and everything is working fine, and I'm very happy. So the first quantum computer that we will have in Spain will be done by this company. So.
And what technology are you using?
Superconducting qubits.
Superconducting, okay.
Yeah, and actually we are following the 2 tracks. We are doing gate base and annealers.
Okay.
Because we have enough money to do both. We have 2 teams of people.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Since I'm giving you quiz questions tonight rather than a conversation, which I apologize for, it's been a while since I've been in Singapore. I think I was there in February. And wondering how the quantum ecosystem has changed over the last, I'd say 8 months.
It's a dramatic set of new ideas. So there is a new program to finance quantum technologies, which is called Quantum Engineering Program. So please note the twist, it's engineering. Okay. It is funded with initial amount is 100 million of Singaporean dollars. But there is a will of go beyond that. Yet 100 million for an island is not zero. Okay. And it's divided in 4 pieces. 3 are this. Well, it's a standard thing. So communication is one leg. That includes preparing the island. All the island should be prepared, ready for quantum communication, which is really nice. It's doable because the island is 35 kilometers long. So you can really adapt all the optical fibers to that. And satellite communication. Remember that Singapore is the second country, probably United public institution, let me say it like that, to had in the past satellite with quantum devices. And this is in this vertical. On the second vertical, we have sensing. Again, let me tell you that here in Singapore, we have one of the best clocks in the world. You know, Wineland is there, but we also have a person here, Murray Barrett, that has a lutetium clock, which is now working at the level of 1 part in 10 to the 19, which is an amazing precision. Okay, and we have other things. We have previmeters, we have NV centers, we have everything. And the third is computation. And the computation is a more complicated thing, may I say. We are all here talking about quantum computers, but you know, on one hand, I'm always trying to stop all this quantum hype. I'm really scared of going into a quantum winter because of the way the news are portraying the progress in quantum computation, which is amazing, but has to be understood in very real terms. Okay, there is no contradiction in being enthusiastic and understanding what is the real scope of what we can do nowadays, and not overselling to certain people that simply come innocently to think that they can solve their problems with a quantum computer. So this third leg is difficult, but we do have several ideas. We have mission-driven, we have curiosity-driven legs, and we have a quantum hub to put together industry and academia as 3 pieces of this quantum leg. And then what is remarkable is that we are having a horizontal line to build the top of the state-of-the-art foundry. As you may know, there are more and more restrictions, international trading restrictions on advanced technology. In particular, the Sandia and lab is no longer exporting technology. Okay, so that is a warning for countries like Singapore, like Israel, like the Emirates, like in Europe. So it's a message, a long-term message saying you rather develop yourself your solutions, in particular for a foundry. So we are doing that. We are putting together all the clean rooms of the island, and we are completing them and setting a team of people and defining how the service should be organized. So I think it's a very good step. And then we have implications of the public sector, ministries, and probably the Minister of Defense will bring more money. And we are thinking now how to make an umbrella for all these efforts in Singapore. It's too small to be dispersed. I mean, we need coordination rather than competition. And I hope that we will collaborate with Tommaso.
Well, I hope so too. I'm going to hand it over to him. Your turn, Tommaso.
Thanks. Super interesting. I obviously love to talk about what is happening in Singapore. And in fact, I was actually going to ask you whether you thought that it was possible for Singapore to become not only a knowledge hub for a technology, but also, let me say, a hardware hub or a technology hub. And you kind of already answered the question.
Of course. I mean, talent is very well distributed in the planet. The opportunities to develop the talent are not that well distributed, but you can find extremely intelligent people everywhere, in India, in China, in Singapore, in Australia, everywhere. So it's really about organizing ourselves and getting the support of some financial support. Let that be from investors or from institutions. Okay, so at present, well, I do believe that, and I will work as a director of CQT to put us in the center of everything. I'm not naive. We don't have the muscle to compete with big players, okay, with Google or with others, but we can do. I think we can do a good job. I give you an example. No, with all the effort in these last 6 months, we have developed a real language that competes with Circ or with Qiskit, but really competes. Not because it has been done extremely well by very, very clever people, I hire, and because we will have a full stack programming for ourselves. We need that. It's not an option. We need that, but we do it without hype. We don't need to go into the news, but we have it. Now we have it, and everybody using it. accepts that this is much better. Support to GPUs, multi-GPUs, 100 times faster than Qiskit on everything. So why not? Tell me why we cannot go ahead. And in ion traps, I mean, like, for IonQ, I'm now thinking, which is our example, no, of how things can go in that direction. We have one of the students of Monroe with us, Matsukiewicz. I keep telling people that we should find our way there. And one of the ideas that I would like to push is to make very small processing devices. Let me not call them quantum computers, but processing devices, and connect them in the island. So let's have one in Nanyang University or A-Star and another at CQT. And let's start to communicate states, okay? That's something that Singapore can do, and it would be fantastic. And this is really the first step for quantum internet, and the first step to apply quantum cryptographic protocols that don't need a quantum computer, but may need quantum processing, which are non-trivial, okay? Or blind computation. Well, many of the ideas which are there in theory, and nobody's trying to do them. Well, there is a space, definitely there is a space, Tommaso. Just like there is a space for you as a small startup to do your business.
I mean, I love it.
Yeah, people say the Hilbert space, the quantum Hilbert space is very large, is huge. Therefore, the space for business is huge. I mean, that's a concept.
That is true. That is a good point. And in fact, if you don't mind, maybe we can take it a bit bigger from Singapore and looking at what is happening everywhere else on the planet. I'll ask you a very open-ended question, but I'm really curious to hear the answer. What do you think, if anything, is missing from the community today? Do you think as a global community we are going in the right direction? Or do you think there is something very fundamental that is still missing from the way the different players are interacting and working together?
Well, it's very different, the public from the private sectors here, okay? The private sector has been driving the hype, which I'm against, okay, really against. Some of the practices, I don't like them, okay? I can give an example. Well, I rather don't build enemies. So there are things that I don't like that have been done. And there is also a little thing that I don't like, that young people are encouraged to jump on providing solutions without really a background education in quantum physics. So I find all the time these younger people that try to make papers which in a way are irrelevant, really irrelevant, by mixing artificial intelligence and a little bit of quantum with no understanding of the all, all that has been done in artificial intelligence, all the deep theorems that they have for the last 50 years. They don't understand the capabilities of certain things in artificial intelligence, and then making claims on the quantum side, which are essentially false. Okay, and this is really now in the archives in our community is full of that. So I'm a little bit scared. This is, I think we should go to basics. We should train our people very well, very well. I think that the young people, the good young people, should learn not only quantum computation, but condensed matter, high energy physics, deep mathematics. Should be well trained as the tradition of science has. It's not about speed here. The quantum computer is not an option. It will come. You see, this is something that I don't know if I go too far, but I often relate the history of science from Descartes, okay, that he divided the world, the physical world, from the mind, from God. And this allowed us to study the physical world. And from then on, we started this career, this amazing race. We had Newton making the postulates, okay, and then we had the building blocks, rationalism and reductionism, and that was extremely successful. We had the century of chemistry, of mechanics, 18th century, 19th century of chemistry, 20th century we had physics in the first half, biology in the second half. 21st century is about information theory, classical and quantum. In my opinion, we are learning that the laws of physics are laws that manipulate information. And I hope that the 21st century will have another piece of ethics. So I'm very, very worried about the misuse of technology and the lack of certain regulations, which I think are needed simply to protect the elder, the young, everything. Okay, so I think that we need to do some thinking about how we are training the young people. So stop this idea that we have to produce PhDs in 2 years and with very little background, and we should also rethink a little bit ethics. So these are my concerns, because I see unstoppable. You see, it's simply unstoppable. This you cannot stop. You can quote 1958 John von Neumann talking for the first time of the singularity. Well, the way he wrote it, forget about what other people have done with that word. It's so obvious, okay, how we are approaching a singularity. So it's not a question of will. It's a fact. Okay, we will get really powerful quantum computers. And it's a privilege to live a time which is so exciting. No, I mean,
I agree with that entirely. I have a lot more questions, but maybe I'll pass it to André, because I can see he's looking at me.
He's nervous. The 20-minute clock is ticking.
Once we have our 24-hour-a-day channel, we'll explore all these questions. Jose Ignacio, you mentioned Descartes, who said it's not enough to have a great mind. The main thing is how you use it. There's another famous French philosopher, Marcel Proust, who was more about asking questions. And he came up with a very famous questionnaire, which was repurposed by James Lipton in the Actor Studio, a famous US TV series, and repurposed by us for the world of quantum. So I will ask you 12 questions, and your challenge is to answer them intuitively with one word, one sentence, nothing long. We want to know your reactions, what comes to your mind. Are you ready?
Sure.
Let's do it. The principal aspect of your personality.
Endeavor.
The quality that you desire most in an entrepreneur.
Discovering new things.
And in a scientist?
Questioning the most basic aspects of science.
Okay. What is your best virtue, your biggest strength?
That's uncomfortable.
You'll get the flip question in a second. So.
I think I'm good at understanding the other people.
What is your principal flaw?
Arrogance.
Okay. You touched on this a little bit, but what do you appreciate most about working in quantum technologies?
The thrill of discovery.
The thrill, okay.
The thrill.
Yeah. If not a quantum entrepreneur or scientist, and you've shared a little bit of your background, but what do you think you'd be doing right now in 2020 under lockdown?
I would be an artist.
What kind of artist?
Probably music.
Interesting. Who's your favorite scientist?
Non-trivial, no? Non-trivial. So many. Man, this is too difficult for me. But I don't want to be the obvious guy saying Einstein or whatever. No. So there are so many good scientists, but I think that one of the top and underestimated scientists was Hans Bethe. He was extremely Johnny von Neumann. I mean, these are really spectacular scientists.
I will need to read up about them. Who is your favorite entrepreneur?
From the point of view of business, Amancio Ortega, Zara. I think he overruled everything. He didn't trust the common law, and he made an empire.
He did not go with the blueprint. He broke the laws and reinvented everything. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Back to quantum. What is your favorite quantum computing modality?
This is hard to say, but I believe none of the existing ones will be the future. And I'm thinking of opening new lines, and all of them are based on silicon. So I think that we have to pay a lot of attention to whatever is going on in that world.
Interesting. What is your quantum dream?
Understanding chemistry.
What is your quantum nightmare?
That that we will not find powerful algorithms, and therefore, and I have evidence for that in my research, you cannot surpass many of the classical technologies. So that my nightmare is that we are really in a hype, not on a news hype or communication hype, but on a real hype. That would be a nightmare for me, that all this effort is useless.
Imagine we do find those algorithms and we build a universal quantum computer and you own it tomorrow. Who would you give it to?
I will share it, definitely. I think the world will be much better if there are 1,000 quantum computers than if there is one. Okay, I don't believe that proprietary technology is a solution for humanity. Okay, the atomic bomb was an example. It's better not to have, to give an example, China with an atomic bomb only in the planet. Well, I don't think it would be good to have, you know, one country, Spain, with a quantum computer only in the universe. No, so I think that science is an endeavor for humanity, and the knowledge should be shared by all. Just like I defend that the human genome should be a property of humanity and not of a company. So I think that quantum computation is an ultimate success of the human mind, and it should be property of the humanity. So if it were up to me, I would share it, of course.
Jill,
that's why I'm in the public sector.
Thank you very much. You opened 100 different doors today. Hopefully we'll find time to explore a few of them in the future. I would like to thank my co-hosts, Denise, and our new sponsor, INQ, Tommaso, and our still sponsor, Entropica Labs. And our host and guest, host, that's me, we think me, but our guest, Jill, Professor Latorre, coming to us from Barcelona, Singapore, Abu Dhabi. This was the weekly Quantum World Detangled, Season 2, Episode 6. You are now detangled.